Right now, a former Colorado corrections officer is on trial for murdering his wife. A coroner originally ruled Ashley Fallis's death a suicide, just days after she was found shot dead in her bedroom. The case was closed in March of 2012, even before all of the evidence was tested. But then in April of 2014, police reopened the case after a local Fox reporter went back to re-interview some of the witnesses, including one neighbor who said he heard Ashley's husband, Tom, confess to shooting her. Police arrested Tom Fallis on second-degree murder charges in November of 2014. He is the one now on trial. But that neighbor's testimony now conflicts with what another witness had to say. Let's talk with our legal panel about it. Dan Schorr, a former prosecutor. Troy Slayton is a criminal defense attorney and a former prosecutor as well. Thanks to both of you for being here. There are so many questions in this case, but it has to be proved beyond a reasonable doubt. Dan, the one neighbor says he heard through an open window Fallis saying, "I killed my wife," but his own sister, and again, they were both teenagers at the time, his own sister said that she testified that she heard him say something more like, "I did something to my wife."
Right. The deceased wife here died tragically from one gunshot wound to the head. She had been having an argument with her husband before that. That's not in dispute. The question is, did she, after this argument, then shoot herself, or did the husband shoot and kill her? Now, a neighbor through an open window says he heard that the defendant afterwards said that he shot his wife. A clear confession. However, the sister of that neighbor, who was then 15 years old, is saying she was in the same window hearing the same things and did not hear that. So it's in dispute whether that was really heard. There's another deputy who works for the police department who supposedly will testify that he also heard a confession, but he hasn't testified yet, so we don't yet know whether his supposedly hearing a confession will be credible when he testifies. That's a really important piece of evidence that we'll hear soon.
Troy, they have brought in apparently to the courtroom, they've reconstructed the bedroom where this took place, and they have recreated the bullet hole in the wall after the bullet passed through the victim's head, and a trajectory showing, how the bullet was fired. She supposedly was on her knees when she committed suicide. It would seem that would go a long way to proving what might have happened here.
John, jurors are expecting these days to see CSI-style evidence like that. We call it the CSI effect. But that doesn't mean that the prosecution doesn't have a huge problem here because of inconsistent testimony. As a defense attorney, that's exactly what we want. We have one witness saying, "I heard a confession." His own sister, who's standing right next to him at this upstairs window, says, "I didn't hear that." We have one deputy sheriff who says he confessed, and then several other deputy sheriffs who say that he didn't. We have the state's own expert that ruled this a suicide for several years. That's a treasure trove for the defense in this case, John.
We just had up a picture of the accused, Dan. He was found on the night of the incident. There he is. Apparently he had fresh scratches on his chest. Right. Now, he says that was from shaving his chest. I don't know. They look like something a little more substantial than you would get with a razor.
And that's a big point of dispute. Was there a struggle before the wife was shot and killed? One piece of evidence for the prosecution are these scratches on his chest. He's saying it was from shaving. There are also a couple of photos that seem to be moved in the room where this happened. The prosecution is saying that is also a sign of a struggle. The defense is saying that that's not part of the struggle. Those were just moved for other reasons. So whether there was a fight physically before she was shot is clearly important to see whether the defendant shot her or whether she killed herself.
He was in the interview room. We just saw him there, Troy, pounding on the table and saying, "No, I did not kill my wife." Is that typical behavior for somebody who is innocent, or is it the behavior of someone trying to cover up a crime?
you know, who knows? That'll ultimately be an issue for the jury. John, there's no textbook on how somebody is supposed to act when their wife and mother of their children is suddenly killed, whether it be from a suicide or from them. I think I've watched that video that, you know, he didn't know it was being recorded, and it seems to me like somebody who is incredulous that they're being accused of murder in the minutes and hours following the death of his wife.
Well, he is a sheriff's deputy. You would think he would be expecting that there'd be a camera in the ceiling at some point. But again, it's in court right now. We will see what the jury decides. Troy Slayton, Dan Schorr, thank you both.
Thank you.